So quite some years ago, I tried Gisou's original honey infused hair care range. And if you've seen that video, then you know I wasn't a fan, like at all. The shampoo just wasn't doing it for me. It made my hair feel dry, but still also not fully clarified. It even temporarily stained my nail polish. Even though the hair mask was super thick, it did not give that thick and buttery feel after washing it out. It didn't even give me slip while detangling. And when I looked online, I discovered that I wasn't the only one. So why am I here again? They've launched a new line, which includes the Honey Gloss Ceramide Shampoo, conditioner, and hair mask. And they claim that it's a game changer. And not only that, I did not pay for this. They send it through PR. So I guess that they want me to give them another try, which is pretty bold. So I did. So today I'll be breaking down the science and the formulation when it comes to these hair care products. I'll look into if they adjusted and changed the things that I actually hated about the previous line, and of course eventually share my own experience using these products. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Angela, a trichologist and cosmetic chemist who is obsessed with literally all things when it comes to skincare, hair care, beauty, all of that backed by science. Here we break down the facts, we debunk the myths, and we make sure that you get the best out of your routine without the fluff. So if you're all about science-backed beauty, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button to make sure that you get a notification each and every single time that I post a new video. Now let's get back into today's topic. Okay, so first things first, I don't know if you can see it since we film in HD, so you're gonna see a lot. I am aware of the flakiness of the hair. Okay, I tried out a different combo, which is something that I do all of the time because that is also part of my profession. And even though I love the definition, I love how soft it feels, yeah, it's not it. Product that I used was actually one that I've used before plenty of times, which is the Fenty, I think it's called Home Curl, their curl defining cream, but I've always used it on wet or damp hair, which you gotta be honest, it's also how you're supposed to use it if you look at what the packaging says. But I kind of was in a hurry. I had my blowout and I was like, okay, I want to twist out, and I used it on blown out dry hair. That's not a way to go. So just a little side note, I'm going to the hairdresser tomorrow anyways to get some fresh highlights in, so I couldn't be bothered to wash it right now. So we need to work with this, okay? Look through the flakes. So the new Honey Gloss Ceramide line is supposed to be an upgrade and a scientific take on their honey infused heritage. And the whole range kind of highlights some star ingredients that you'll see in the complete range that all have a purpose. And I do have to say that I think that that is the biggest change that I've seen right away, other than obviously the packaging and everything else. I felt like the previous range was more so a vibe, the Negan vibe with that honey infused touch, but it was more an aesthetic that in my opinion was being sold other than really a performance driven range. The only like star ingredient was the honey, the Mirsalei honey, which obviously is still front and center in every Gisou product, but I felt like they didn't give you anything else. It was just cute packaging, a vibe, an aesthetic, and a scent, and that was kind of about it. And I think that that's why it absolutely did not work for me, since I am a performance driven, sensory specific, ingredient focused person to begin with. So I think that I just also wasn't the right consumer, because I just look for different things in hair care products. But with this new range, they did really focus on what I've seen, the science, hero ingredients that actually also make sense, and they even did clinicals, which we're gonna go into later on. So things that they've included now are things like biomimetic ceramides, hyaluronic acid, not only their regular Mirsalei honey, but also fermented honey. So it went through a certain process. And even some AHAs. According to Gisou, this combo of hero ingredients are not only going to deliver stronger, glossier hair, but also a healthier scalp, which is really something that has been very important to the consumer at this moment in time. We're not only thinking about hair care, we're also thinking about the health of our scalps. So to kind of simplify these ingredients, let's get into them so you have a clear idea of what these ingredients are, in this case, in this formula, doing what they're supposed to do. As mentioned, it's not a Gisou product if it doesn't contain the myrcellei honey. That really is Gisou's signature ingredient, and honey is a natural humectant. It draws in and maintains moisture. Not only that, it's also rich in sugars, vitamins, amino acids, and antioxidants, which are all able to kind of nourish your hair or give your hair that softer feel. This myrcellei honey was present in their old range, but in their new range, as mentioned, they took it a step further, including a fermentation of that same honey. But what does fermentation actually do? Fermentation basically breaks honey down in smaller components, which increases the potential of its bioactivity. And in this case, it makes it easier for the scalp to utilize those benefits. Fermented honey is also said to help balance the scalp's microbiome, and I think that that's also why they wanted to include that into this range, for it to be a part of not only their product story but also the product's benefits. And it's able to reduce both dryness and oiliness, making it very suitable for every scalp type, which is pretty cool. It also contains biomimetic ceramides. I know that sounds like a lot. So ceramides are actually pretty well known in skincare, but when it comes to hair care, they're sort of kind of similar but have a different purpose, since ceramides are naturally found in the hair's cuticles, which is the outer layer of a hair strand. They kind of act like a glue to hold those protective scales together, and when hair gets damaged, which can be due to heat, coloring, it will start to lose those ceramides, and this can lead to raised cuticles, a rougher look and feel of the hair, less shine, and in severe cases, breakage. They've actually added a synthetic ceramide, which is identical to the one in our hair, and these ceramides are able to temporarily patch up those cracks. In fact, studies have shown that ceramides can strengthen hair fibers and prevent breakage by restoring that protective lipid layer. So to kind of summarize it, the ceramides in these products are really focused on making the hair smoother, less porous, and more resilient, which is especially great for brittle, split, and prone hair, or if you want to prevent that from even happening. Their formulations also contain hyaluronic acids and its derivatives. And again, this is also a very popular and well-known skincare product, and we do see a shift of it being incorporated in hair care as well. They have multiple forms and molecular sizes of hyaluronic acid, and even a hair binding form of hyaluronic acid. So when it comes to the benefits for the scalp, obviously it's similar to what it can do to the skin to really help to hydrate the skin. When it comes to the hair binding form of hyaluronic acid, it's able to form a thin film around the hair strand, adding a protective layer, which not only decreases the amount of frizz because it makes the hair look smoother, but it's also able to make the hair feel more supple. So Gisou's claim when it comes to their hyaluronic acid combo, and I'm reading it because I want to make sure that I say it correctly, is that it is supposed to give up to 3-day hydration when it comes to its effect, meaning that your hair stays moisturized even a few days after washing. Now, this is a claim that I personally don't really like, since I always state that hair doesn't need hydration, it's dead. What it can do, however, is condition. So for me, the hydration word is more a marketing word, but what they actually mean is condition and protect, which isn't a bad thing. It's just something that has been used very often, but is not a match to true science, if that makes sense, since the effects of hyaluronic acid on the hair are totally different on what it can do to a live tissue, in this case your scalp. So this is an ingredient that only is present in the conditioner, and those are silk amino acids, which I still felt were worth noting, since this is a very lightweight ingredient. It's very well known to smooth and condition your hair, and what they do is they form a very soft, thin protective layer around the hair strand, and sometimes are even able to penetrate a teeny tiny little bit into the hair to help strengthen it. This is an amazing ingredient when it comes to giving you that slip when detangling. It really helps to detangle the hair because of that silky feel, and that really intrigued me about this one, because the number one thing that I experienced using the previous hair care range was that it had zero slip. So when I saw this, I was like, that makes it worth it for me to try out. So one of the ingredients in the shampoo is salicylic acid. Now, if you know me, you know that I absolutely love salicylic acid. It is on the lower end of the list, meaning that there's not a huge percentage of it in this formula, but I think that's also because it's not really made to be super exfoliating, but still you will get some of those like exfoliating effects and benefits without stripping the hair in this case. For the people who don't know what salicylic acid is capable of doing, it's a chemical exfoliant, meaning that it's able to help remove things like dead skin cells, build up, which will result into a cleaner, better balanced scalp. So before getting into each and every single product, I really first off want to get into the packaging, because I gotta be honest, they definitely leveled up and make them stand out wherever you see them. Instead of the like white and pink kind of vibe that they previously went for with like floral touches, if I remember correctly, they really went all in when it comes to the honey vibe. And I have to say, I think that this is a huge improvement. Maybe I'm also biased because I am so into butter yellow at the moment and this totally fits that vibe. But I have to be honest, they visually really improved, still giving you an aesthetic, but one that also works while using it. As you can see, every single product all ooze that honey vibe, and the round shape that you see on every lid with the twist opening even makes it also super easy to use. I did not know that I needed a twist opening in my life until I got this one, and so far it also didn't block anything when it comes to products, because that can sometimes be a negative thing about these twist bottles, but they do really elevate the packaging. Also, the shape of the shampoo bottle being so like wavy and rounded is a really cool bottle to have in your bathroom, I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to the conditioner, I'm just happy that you're able to squeeze every little bit out of it, and to make it match the shampoo, it obviously also has the turning lid, which I did have to kind of get used to, because like putting it away or putting it somewhere, you do need to double check if you retwisted it back shut. Otherwise, it will possibly spill the product or get stuck. But overall, so far, so good. And yeah, like the hair mask literally looks like a jar of honey. I think that they've done this so smart. I love the ombre effect that it gives, and also still like the almost buttery yellow formulation of the product. I think that when it comes to looks, they really went all in with the vibe, and I think that this resembles their hero ingredient way more than the previous one did, where it was more so focused on like the floral aspect that attracts the bees. You feel like you're getting into like a pot of honey, a bottle of honey each and every single time you use these products, and the color also matches. I think that when it comes to product launches packaging, this has been the most innovative one of the year, I would say, hands down, hands down. And I think that that also plays a big role when it comes to Gisou as a brand, since the inventor and owner is a content creator. She knows what she's doing with these things, and I think that this fits way better in the branding and the vibe that I had envisioned for Gisou than the previous one. So now that we know the key ingredients, it also just shows you that a lot of thought went into this range, and I love that. I love that brands think further than just bringing out something. This is like literally not only a product but also a vibe selling. This is like a full package that they're trying to sell. And I'm saying trying to sell not as a bad thing, because sometimes I feel like people are scared to say stuff like that, but like at the end of the day, they want you to buy the product. So part of that is also these little things which make you more interested in trying it out to get it in the first place. Let's really look into each and every single product of this range to really see how these ingredients come together and its purpose in every single formulation. Because yeah, are these products actually better, or is it just a marketing tactic? Let's start off with obviously a clean slate, what we start off with in the shower, which includes their Honey Gloss Ceramide Therapy Hydrating Shampoo. Gosh, that's a mouthful. That's a mouthful that I don't think necessarily was needed, but I think that they just wanted to make sure that you would know right away from reading the packaging like what it's all about. So what's on their website, and I'm reading it again because I just want to make sure that you get the correct information, is that Gisou's Honey Gloss Ceramide Therapy Hydrating Shampoo promises a gentle yet deep cleanse with fermented honey and ceramides. To be honest, when you look at the name, or when you read the name out loud, the first thing that might pop up is, okay, it's hydrating, it's all fun and stuff, but will it actually be able to clean my hair? And this is especially since if you would compare it to the previous range, that was exactly what it didn't make you feel it was doing. And my hair personally felt like it was left with residue. And when I first read the name, I kind of was like, ooh, will the ceramides then be the residue feel after washing this out? But I have to be honest, and I'm actually really happy that I'm able to say that this shampoo really cleans way better than the previous one did, and still did it in a very gentle way. So they actually tested it, and the claim that they were able to make with this product is that it's able to remove 96% of excess oil on the scalp, yet keeping the hair hydrated for 3 days, and it balances your scalp's microbiome. So let's look into the formulation and the actual cleansing system. So this is a sulfate-free shampoo. If you follow me for a while, then you know that I don't really care about something being sulfate-free, but I do know that a lot of consumers tend to right now go for sulfate-free cleansers since they feel like that is better and more gentle to the scalp. So if that is something that you really find important, then this is a nice option to go for, since they use a mix of pretty mild sulfate-free surfactants. But I really want to highlight one surfactant that really is giving it its luxurious creamy texture and feel, and that is sodium cocoyl isethionate. This is a surfactant that is really well known for its like super creamy lather, and that is also a surfactant that you see in a lot of luxurious shampoos, since that is kind of what people are looking for. Its cleansing effects is also boosted by some coconut derived surfactants that really will help create that foam without giving you that stripped feel, if you know what I mean. And this also shows you, when it comes to product formulations, that it's not about that one product. It's the full formulation that matters when it comes to not only performance, but also the look and sensory of a product. I would say also, after using it myself, I would call this a gentle yet effective cleanser that lathers up beautifully. It's super elegant. It really gives you that luxurious feel in a bottle, and that makes it very pleasant to use and apply. If you are more on the oilier scalp side, I do have to say this is nice to use on a daily, but it's not a great product to clarify if you only wash your hair like once or twice a week. But if you feel like you have a very dry scalp or just a normal scalp overall, this is perfectly fine to use every wash day. Another thing that I think is really fun that they included that into the shampoo, and I think that that also kind of resembles that honey gloss claim that they have put on all of their bottles in this range, and that is that they included conditioning agents in this shampoo, a polyquaternium, to be exact, polyquaternium 10, also the ceramides, and a guar. These are polymers that really give you that slip, and that is why you have that hydrated feel after rinsing this out. And of course, you have the honey and hyaluronic acids that really are basically self-conditioning. They also give you that soft look and feel. Again, with things like the fermented honey, the ceramide, and the salicylic acid, these are all ingredients that are focused to really give you a healthy slate, a healthy soil, healthy scalp, in this case, for your hair to thrive on. Oh, there is one ingredient that I also want to talk about, and that is bisabolol. Bisabolol is an anti-inflammatory ingredient that really has a soothing effect on the scalp. These are included in very small amounts though, but it is nice to also have that into it, so it really makes it focus on that overall scalp health effect, which I do think a shampoo should be all about. When it comes to claims, I'm gonna read it again. The clinical results Gisou is talking about when it comes to their shampoo, when used with the conditioner though, so that is important to note, that there is 66% reduction in breakage after one use, and hair stays glossy, hydrated, and frizz controlled for up to 3 days. In my personal experience, I really enjoyed using this, and I do think that this is a great overall like staple to have in your routine if you're normal to combination scalp. Again, if you're more on the oilier side, this can be a nice daily shampoo to use, but if you really want that clean slate, I don't think this one is going to give it to you, but it is a nice addition to kind of switch when it comes to your more clarifying shampoos. Then we have their conditioner, which has the same name, but then conditioner behind it. Literally Honey Gloss Ceramide Therapy Hydrated Conditioner. This honestly is supposed to really be the shampoo's partner in crime, because that is also how they did their clinical studies. They combined the two to like show its performance. I would say this is a kind of a rich conditioner, like more rich than average, but Gisou does say that it is lightweight enough for all hair types, even fine hair. And since the last time I was not impressed with the slip and the way that my hair felt, I do think that I paid more attention towards the conditioner and the hair mask to really kind of like figure out like, do these products excite me in comparison to my previous experience? And I gotta be honest, they did not hold back with these ones. The conditioner uses a fatty alcohol and quat system. These are honestly kind of the standards of effective conditioners. Not all alcohols are bad or drying. In this case, this is a fatty alcohol, cereal alcohol, which really helps to give this thick, creamy texture that helps to soften the hair. It also contains 2 cationic surfactants. These are actually conditioning agents, so they're not the surfactants that you're used to seeing in a shampoo for its cleansing abilities, and they're meant to give you that great slip. And this one did. It literally melted my knots away. And this is an interesting one. It contains stearate, midopropyl, methylamine, and this is an ingredient that when activated by an acid, like in this case lactic acid, it not only helps to condition, but it also has this ability to kind of give this like sealant effect to the cuticle to really help to smooth the cuticle and then overall smooth the hair. And it also, as mentioned, includes all of the other hero ingredients, which I previously talked about and explained its abilities. Overall, this is 10, 20, 30 levels up in comparison to the previous version. Like you're not even able to compare that. Not only do I prefer this packaging over the previous one, I prefer the scent of this whole range, by the way, over the previous one. But the slip is something that the other one just did not have, and this one has it times 100. So I really enjoyed it. Is it suitable for every hair type? I think it could be. I would say that for finer strands, just use a little, because even for me, a little goes a long way. And it might weigh the hair slightly down if you have finer strands. So when it comes to like being suitable for all hair types, sort of kind of, but then you really need to look into the quantity that you're using. So for the geeks under us, you might see an ingredient called mica, and mica is something that is very well known in makeup, and it's able to give you that like pearlescent look, and that is actually also what it's meant to do in this conditioner. It really gives that like pearlescent, pearly, shiny effect of the way that the formula looks. So it's more so an appearance thing, and these like little shimmers are able to like make the hair look more shiny. But in my personal opinion, I've never, like, if it's just a little bit of mica, I haven't seen like a huge difference into it, but it might be an extra booster of like giving you that glossy look. Okay, last but not least product is their Honey Gloss Ceramide Therapy hair mask. This is supposed to be a rich treatment, obviously featuring the Myrcellate honey, ceramides, oils, and butters to deeply hydrate and strengthen the hair. This has been launched as a more intensive treatment next to the shampoo and conditioner combo, and the previous mask I was so disappointed in. It was so thick, but actually delivering absolutely nothing. And also for you to know, the thickness of a product doesn't always indicate its performance. You can increase the thickness of a product using gums. That's how I also formulate as well. And Actually, you can formulate the exact same product but make them look totally different just by adjusting the thickness, by adding thickeners, making people think that that is a richer version of a product, which isn't always the case. So I got so excited to see the big changes that they made coming out with this one. So when it comes to their clinical claims, this one is clinically proven to restore healthier looking hair, giving 85% shinier hair, 4 times stronger hair, 19 times smoother hair, with 72-hour frizz reduction. These numbers are impressive, I have to say. However, what also is good to note that there isn't a huge difference between the conditioner and the hair mask. They share a lot of similar ingredients, but obviously I cannot see the percentages of ingredients used, so I don't know if they used a higher percentage of certain ingredients in this one in comparison to this one. So it doesn't mean that they're the same, but they do use a similar base of ingredients. An ingredient that I want to highlight that is in the mask is an ingredient called squalane. Now, squalane is a lightweight emollient that mimics natural oils. It can penetrate a little bit into the hair shaft, and this helps to reduce the hair's porosity, making your hair feel way softer, but without the greasiness since it's so lightweight. So including squalane in a hair mask is actually really nice because it really helps to increase that shine and suppleness without it looking greasy. A notable claim they make is that this mask is lightweight enough to use every wash. I agree with that. I actually think that that is something that they actually kept from the previous line that they have, because it's not like the richest hair mask that I've ever tried when it comes to how my hair feels afterwards. But that also shows me that this is a very suitable like weekly treatment for every hair type to incorporate into their routine without like increasing like heaviness or greasiness. This is what I find interesting. They suggest you to follow up with the conditioner to lock in moisture and polish shine. And this kind of implies that the conditioner provides that like final cuticle sealing step, which makes me think that it has more of that combination that I talked to you about that's activated by the lactic acid, a higher percentage of that in comparison to this one. But I gotta be honest, I personally would never recommend you that. I am all about like simplifying a hair care routine, and to me, a hair mask is not that different in comparison to the conditioners that we have nowadays. Conditioners nowadays are very high performing, where they first were just to create that like smoothing effect. It now a lot of times also contains really nice repairing ingredients. So when it comes to like using them on top of each other or before or after, I personally would never use that way. I personally also wouldn't really recommend it that way because it's just a lot of steps to include. So I personally would say use the mask on one wash day and the conditioner on the other, or kind of figure out which one out of the two you prefer and then just use that one. So I really wanna shortly talk about the importance of clinicals and why they're actually important in hair care. Clinical studies can give you actual evidence-based proof on how a product performs and that it delivers on its claims. Things like reducing breakage, boosting shine, or controlling frizz. You can just say that, but it's more important to prove than to actually say so. And in fact, it is only allowed to say if it's proven like officially, and especially when it comes to percentages. And the way brands are able to prove this is to basically do tests in controlled conditions. And these often include lab instruments. I think that like even a couple of days ago, I literally saw Megan going to the Gisou lab, actually showing you a force combing device to indicate the amount of breakage the hair will experience with or without using, in this case, Gisou's products. And this is something that you also need to know. Without clinicals, brands are just making marketing claims. With clinicals, brands are offering you measurable, tested data behind the promises that they're making. So it's not just a buzzword like hydrating and strengthening. They actually went above and beyond to prove you that it actually does that and to what extent. So in short, like clinicals really help to separate products that or claims that are just hype from real performance and real performing products. So it's time for my final verdict. Is Gisou's new range worth it? After dissecting all of them and obviously tried them myself a couple of times, I feel like Gisou clearly looked into the feedback and criticism about their previous line to level up 1,000 when it comes to their new one. And I kind of feel like they're going into a new direction, which is a direction that we as consumers prefer. And that really is the science background. We want to see proof. We want to see why there is a certain claim, stick to it, because it is such an oversaturated market that we already kind of feel overwhelmed when it comes to picking our products. So we want to know why we should go for this. And that's where they delivered. They came with science-backed, high-performing, luxurious feeling hair care products, which I would have never expected from a brand like Gisou. And I think that that's the beauty of it. They also elevated, and I think that that's what we all do in life, right? It is the hardest thing to look at what you already have, your baby, to look at it critically and be like, oh, we need to do better. But that's exactly what they did. It's a night and day improvement. I love the packaging. I think that that is still very true to the brand, the aesthetics, but not only giving you aesthetics, but also performance. I gotta say, yes, I would recommend this one. And I think it's so weird for me to say after like feeling like I bashed the previous range so greatly, but I'm happy that I gave it another chance, and I'm super grateful, Gisou, if the team watches this, that you gave me a chance and were so certain about your new launch to send it to me to try out. I'm gonna wrap it up for that. I think that we've debunked everything that we needed to do. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, obviously put them in the comment section below. And yeah, have an amazing day, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.